All right, you bunch of dickheads. Welcome to the VR Gaming Podcast. That was me trying to copy Alex's accent, but I think I failed. We were fucking around earlier, messing with accents, and I was just trying to sound British.
Yeah,
But-
I thought it was really good.
Oh, really?
Really,
all right.
really convincing. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I wanted him to do the intro originally, but
I got scared.
yeah, he got scared. Yeah.
All right, you bunch of dickheads.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So what are we doing?
We're talking about VR games, Justin.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about this every month.
Yeah.
And what have you been playing this month?
So last time, I think I was 8 hours into Vertigo 2. And so I think like that same show, I might have played all the way. I mean, after that last show we recorded, I might have played all the way through it that same day. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I looked at my stats to see how many deaths that was. 105 deaths. This is a pretty hardcore game.
Just for the entire game?
Yeah, my entire game was 105 deaths.
Where do you get the stats from?
On the title screen, there's a stats button.
I didn't notice.
It's over to the left.
I'll have to have a look.
Yeah, and it shows you your number of kills. So I had, like 1,100 something kills, and
yeah,
I had 105 deaths. Some of those deaths were me just like intentionally jumping off of a cliff because I like doing that.
Yeah.
But most of those are legitimate deaths.
Yeah.
And like towards the end, there were some areas where I was having platforming struggles. I don't know if you've been to those areas where some of it's like lowish gravity, and I was having
I've just got past
landing.
that bit.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah. I ended up using teleport because you can't judge how far you're going to jump. And then when you're in the air, you can't really control it much. So then I did overshoot sometimes and then die. And then the checkpoints are quite brutal in this game as well. Sometimes you have to go quite far back. So I ended up just teleporting through those platform sections, which I hate. I really hate when you've got to teleport. What's the point in having platforms if you've got to teleport through them?
Yeah.
I'd rather just not bother.
Did you get to the final boss?
No. I got past that bit, which you just said with the low gravity, and then there's this big pyramid that you have to go around. Yeah. Like you literally go all the way around it, and as you're going around it, there's loads of enemies that spawn in. Yeah. Pretty much every enemy from the game comes, and it's just never ending. And I died several times, and again, the checkpoints can be quite brutal. So sometimes you've been fighting for like 10, 15 minutes non-stop, and then you die, and then you've got to do the entire section again. Yeah. And then you die, and then you have to do that entire section again. And on the third try, I was like, okay, I'm done. And I've not been back to it since. So I don't know if I'm going to finish it. I want to, but it's starting to piss me off.
Yeah, if you didn't finish it, you wouldn't be alone, because all of my Steam friends that have the game, they all have like 2 or 3 hours in the game.
I noticed that, but
I'm the only one to beat it.
I think because one of the people on there was Gamertag VR.
Yeah.
And he's definitely played more than 3 hours because his video on YouTube's like quite far into the game. Oh, okay. So I'm wondering if he played before launch, it doesn't add to your game time or something.
Oh, okay.
Because they probably played before it got released, which is why some of those YouTubers might be quite low play time. Because it don't make sense that they've only played 3 hours if he's got like 6-7 hours into the game.
Yeah.
Some people definitely haven't though. There's some people I've heard like what was it? Reclamation VR. Is that the name of it? What's the name of the podcast?
You mean Recentered?
Oh, Recentered. Fucking hell. Yeah, Recentered, and I think they've not finished it because they got stuck at that boss, one of the first bosses, and yeah, it's definitely quite a difficult game. I think the balance is not quite right in some areas. There's definitely some sections which really can. Yeah. There's one with the boat, which we talked about last month, where there was a patch which apparently made that early, and I'd not actually done that yet. So I did it after the patch, and I really struggled with. I know you got through it pretty easy, but I really struggled with that section. It must have taken me about 20 plus tries just to get through that.
What weapon did you use?
I was mixing it up because you've only got in the game you have. You don't have ammo, but you have like a cooldown, so you can only reload so many times before you have like a cooldown where you have to wait for it to recharge before you can reload that gun. So then, like if I use the Magnum, for example, after 3 reloads, I've got to wait for it to cool down to get more ammo. So I was having to switch anyway. But yeah, because you're in this boat in the middle of the sea in like a storm, and then there's these attack boats that come up for you from all different directions, and there's so many of them. It's like non-stop. Goes on for quite a while. And you haven't really got any cover either. Like you've got a couple of panels on either side, but if they surround you, there's literally nowhere you can go. You can't really get out of the way. So I just died. I got boxed in and died so many times, and it was just quite frustrating, to be honest.
I used the AK the whole time I was on the boat.
Yeah, I mean, because because you're in the like a storm as well. There's like big waves and the boats are flying around everywhere. So it's not like they just come straight for you. They're literally bouncing around, and then you've got like a turret guy on the front who's easy to kill, and then you've got the main guy who's driving the boat.
I didn't try to hit the turret guys at all. I only tried to hit the drivers.
To be honest, I was just trying to hit anyone. It was just, it was just kind of just shoot to try and get rid of them as fast as possible. Plus, then they throw mines as well in front of you, which you can either dodge with the steering the boat, or you can just shoot them, which is what I did. But
I think I just dodged them. Is what I think I did.
That was the hardest part for me. You got through it first time. I don't understand how you did that.
My first attempt, I did it. Actually, I might not have steered the boat at all. I might have just been shooting the mines, or.
It's the easiest way because otherwise you've got to go back to the steering wheel and then back. Because if you stay where the steering wheel is, you've got no cover at all. Whereas if you go forwards into the main part of the boat, you've got a little bit of cover.
But that first boss, you didn't have to try many times, but I had probably 20 deaths on the first boss because I didn't.
It took me like 6 tries. But then you were saying in the Discord, you were telling me like you've got to shoot it first, then use the. Grenades.
Okay, you heard that before you had to try.
Yeah, so I already knew how to kill it, so that probably helps a lot.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell that the bullets were doing anything to him, and the guy's made of fire, so I tend to think, well, bullets probably aren't going to hurt this guy.
Yeah, because they gave you those grenades that were extinguisher grenades.
Yeah.
And then so you think, well, you're trying to get rid of this fire, you use the grenade. I would probably have just started using the grenades personally anyway. But it's only, I think Jack on the Discord said, you've got to shoot it until it starts glowing, then you have to use the grenades on it.
Yeah.
It's not, there's certain sections which are just a bit, they don't really telegraph what you need to do sometimes. And it leaves you like struggling because the game is really, really challenging at times. And sometimes I just felt like I wanted to get out of the way and I just wasn't fast enough and it just started to piss me off.
Yeah. Did you get you got to a bird boss?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't mind that one actually.
Okay, I died. I feel like I died a lot on that one.
Yeah, it took me a few tries, but I didn't find it that frustrating. You just have to learn the patterns, and then you can get out of the way. But
I really want to hear what you say about the final boss. I really am looking forward to that because I think you're going to be pissed off.
Yeah, I'll definitely try and jump in and get to it, and next month maybe we could talk about it. But I do like the game. It sounds like I'm not, I'm hating on the game. I think it's a great game, but I do think that they need to tweak the difficulty on some things a little bit.
Have you gotten a badass weapon?
Which one?
It's a really badass weapon. It's like it's not
the one with the spikes.
It's not a secret. It's not a secret weapon.
The last one, where you put like the things.
Spikes?
You fire out like spikes and it sends them flying.
I can't even remember.
I don't know if are they like rockets or something? But it's like you load in like these things at the top, and you can have 3 of them or 4 of them.
Oh, those are really. I wouldn't call that a spike. That's it's almost like an M60 gun. It's like just a giant gun.
Yeah, but when you fire into it, like because even those there's like these mini T-Rexes, and even those it just like one shots them and then sends them flying.
Yeah,
that's a great gun. Yeah, okay. I love that.
Yeah,
and the way they did the sights as well, because the sights are on the side, and the way they have like these 3D sights where you've got to line them up. It's really good, well designed gun. That I really like that gun.
Yeah,
it's like a rocket launcher, but it doesn't fire rockets. It fires like these big bullets, I guess you could call them.
Yeah, that's what I was using on the final boss a lot.
Yeah, well, it's the most powerful weapon by far.
Yeah, but like, I was still, again, I was struggling. Like, is this registering as a hit? because like sometimes the boss would, like reel backward, and sometimes
Right.
I'd hit him with it and he wouldn't react at all. So that
Yeah.
was one of my problems.
Yeah, the bosses are very spongy. You can just
Yeah.
fire into them and it feels like you're not really doing anything.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, but other than that, I think, yeah, what we talked about last month, I think it's a great game that you should definitely play. I think, I think if you think it's too hard, maybe just turn it down to easy. I don't know how high. I haven't turned it down yet. I've been trying to just get through it on normal. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the difficulty is on now. It feels like it should be hard, and then there should be like another difficulty somewhere in between, maybe. I've seen some people say that they thought it was pretty easy, but they're obviously just way better than me. But
Yeah, the guy in our Discord, or your Discord, I
yeah,
mean, not ours. Where he's just like doing like speed runs and what did
I
he?
think the
Two
majority of
hours?
average, yeah, I think the majority of the average gamer will find it a challenge.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be many people. Even Jack, who's pretty good at games, he said it's challenging. So
Yeah.
I think the average person, and if you're not very good at games, you are going to struggle, and you should definitely turn it down to easy. Otherwise, you're just never going to finish it, and it's worth getting through the game because it's got so many different things. Like there's a section where you're like in a portal type environment, and it's just really cool. There's just so many different diverse levels and enemies and guns and stuff.
But the portal gun, that's only if you find that. I never found that weapon.
No, there's an actual level that's kind of like Portal. Do you not remember that level?
I don't even remember.
All right. Well,
God, my brain
I
doesn't
don't want
work.
to spoil it for people, but yeah, there's a level that really surprised me. And
Oh, now I do. Now I remember it.
yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. All right. Who's up next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
Last month we ran out of time, so I've got a couple from last month that I played for a video I made. The first one is Westworld Awakening, which have you played this game before?
Yeah, I beat that.
Yeah, it's an
really
older
good.
game. Yeah, it's from a few years ago, but I played. It was like a hidden gem video I made, and I ended up just replaying the game again. I just really enjoyed the game the second time, even though it's a very linear game. It's very story driven. It's just really well made. It's visually really impressive. They have actual NPCs that you talk to a lot, which in most games you don't really talk to many people. It tends to be a lot of empty space. Whereas with this game, it feels like you're always interacting with someone. You've got to see people in your earpiece talking to you a lot. It feels like a living and breathing environment. I think it's comparable to like Lone Echo, where it's kind of more of a walking sim almost with some light puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the game centers around the story and your interactions, and you're kind of you building a relationship with these different characters. But I personally think Westworld Awakening is better because I think it looks better. I think it's got more diversity in the environments. I think there's a lot more interaction, like I said, with NPCs, with incredible face motion captured. Yeah, the story is really good. If you the first time I played it, I'd not watched the series, and I enjoyed it. But after I'd watched the series, I did enjoy it a lot more. So I appreciated the details and the amount of attention to detail they put into the environments and the set pieces. And yeah, I just think it's a great game that if you've not played it and you've never really heard of it, keep an eye for a sale because it goes on sale for like £5 or something. It's really cheap, and it's about 4 hours long. So it's not the longest game, but it's still a decent length, especially for the type of game it is. But yeah, I can't recommend this game enough. I think it's one of the best underrated games so far. I wish they'd bring it to PSVR 2 for a new audience or something, because it's just only on PC and it deserves more people to play it.
It didn't have many reviews? Was that something you pointed out in your video?
Yeah, I mean, it has picked up over time. I think people have found out about it and picked it up on a sale, but it was never really marketed. Like when it came out, it was kind of pitched as an arcade experience. They didn't really pitch it as a game. There wasn't really any build up to it. It just dropped and released on the same day. They posted like a blog about it and stuff. So I think it's one of those that I think it's Servios's best game. I think it's the best game they've done. And apparently HBO were really hands-on with they did the story. they designed all the like sets and everything, all the clothes and everything that's in the game and everything. And you can really tell with the detail that's put into the world that it's been done by people who are obviously very close to the show and have got like a passion for the show itself. And Servios are also making an Aliens game, which playing this kind of sometimes reminded me like the atmosphere and everything with some of the smoke and stuff kind of made me feel a bit like that Aliens kind of vibe. So I think if they can take this game as their inspiration and make this the game that they can build on, the same team that can build the Aliens game, I think that game could be really, really good. Yeah. Hopefully it's not the the Walking Dead game team, because they did a pretty shit job personally.
Yeah, I still haven't played that one. Yeah, I agree. Westworld Awakening, I think it is better than Lone Echo. It's just pretty short. It's like, what is it, 4 hours?
Yeah, which is about the same as Lone Echo 1.
Oh, is it? Lone Echo 1 was that short? I can't remember.
It wasn't really long. I don't think it was about 4 or 5 hours.
Okay.
I think that people overrate Lone Echo.
Yeah.
Personally.
Well, it's the whole zero gravity thing that is kind of the gimmick of that one. That at the time that was so cool.
I think when it came out, it was like mind blowing. Yeah. But if you go back to it today, I think a lot of people would be like, "Well, is this it?" Because you really don't do much in that game at all.
Yeah, it's just these really basic puzzles. Turn this dial, put this thing in here. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the environments, like you've got the main area where you start. Once you get past that, a lot of it's kind of very bland. There's not much to the environments.
And the biomass parts, I hated that.
Yeah, I know you don't like that slow movement type of thing.
And we'll just touch. It's like you're playing Operation, going through the ship. Don't touch the sides.
Yeah, it's like a floor is lava type situation.
Floor is lava, yeah.
But yeah, if you liked Lone Echo, then you'll definitely enjoy Westworld Awakening. I think that's definitely a game you should look at.
I'm trying to remember. Do you play as the girl, the main girl in the show?
No, it's a separate story. It takes place between the first season and the second season.
Okay.
And you play as a host, which is basically a robot in the show. Because if you don't know about the show, you basically... Westworld is like a fantasy kind of theme park full of robots, but the robots actually they think they're actually people, the real people with real lives, and they've got like stories and backstories. And one of the hosts, one of the robots in this game, you play as that, and you kind of unravel and realize that things aren't as they seem, sort of thing. So yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I watched all the first season, and then I think I watched maybe the first episode of season 2, and I didn't like it, and I don't know, never watched again.
Yeah, I've not watched the new one, but I watched the first 3. I thought the third I didn't like the third. Once they got out of the park, I wasn't really that interested in it, but I thought the first season was good, and the second one was decent.
Yeah, okay. Propagation Paradise Hotel. Now, I was a closed beta tester of this back in February, and then so I had access then, and then they gave me a key as like a content creator. So I was helping them with, or trying to, give them like suggestions.
So you're responsible for the bad level design.
Yeah, for anything that you don't like in the game, it's my fault. Yeah.
No. Yeah, well, I've got a bone to pick with you then.
All right. So when I first played this game as a tester, I felt like this might be hard games in VR don't ever scare me, so it's hard for me to judge. But I felt like this might be, for me, the scariest that I've played, because there were a lot of jump scares and the zombies were really fast. And like when I think of a Resident Evil game, the zombies are usually really slow and stupid. And these zombies like really lunge towards you and come at you and are like aggressive in this game. So they just like stressed me out, and I'd be like, lots of like, fuck, get the hell off me. And like, I just don't remember that much. Like Resident Evil 8, I don't remember being scared at all. Resident Evil 7, I played on PSVR. I'd like to replay that one with motion controls on my PC. Now that there's a mod for that. I did a little bit, but I want to play through the whole game, but I don't think I was as scared.
The problem is that you know what's coming, so you're never going to have that same... If you played it first time like that, I think you would definitely have those moments, whole shit moments.
Yeah, my video on my channel, I played through it the second time, so I already knew what was coming. So, yeah, my reactions weren't weren't very scared.
Yeah.
So in this game, you're going to find ammo, you're going to find batteries for your flashlight, and antiseptic. It's very much like a Resident Evil game. You're going to find these little secret octopuses that's just like the bobblehead dolls you'd find in like Resident Evil. And it's really dark. You got to use your flashlight a lot, and that helps to make it scarier and helps the atmosphere. I don't know, how far did you get into it?
I played about an hour.
Yeah, that's not enough time.
The thing is that you kept saying it's like the scariest game, so it kind of put me off because I'm not very good at scary games. Although I am getting a lot better, but I'm not. What I will say is that it's got it's like incredible atmosphere.
Yeah,
there's just something about the atmosphere. They've really nailed it. The sounds are really good. Like you can hear stuff creaking and things, and it keeps you on your toes because there are moments where stuff happens, and like I've had the first major one when I played before this, and it genuinely made me jump out my skin and like panic. I was just literally like blind shooting, just panicked.
Where were you?
I'll just say near a fuse box type thing.
Okay, all right.
I don't want to spoil too much.
I think I know then.
Yeah, it wasn't the first encounter, but it was like the second probably encounter.
Okay.
But yeah, it kind of comes at you unexpectedly. Well, it was for me, and yeah, proper just. I was like shit, like you said, and I was like bang, firing my gun at it, shot its arm off, shot its head a few times, and it died.
Oh yeah, and they take a lot of bullets. Oh.
Yeah, it's not just like one shot to the head.
Yeah.
Did you find the scale? Like the scale seems. I don't know if it's because you play as a woman in the game, but they feel quite intimidating. Like the zombies are they feel larger than me.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I think about other games like Arizona Sunshine and Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, the zombies don't really intimidate me. They feel kind of weak. Like you don't feel that.
They're a total
threat.
joke in those games. Yeah.
Whereas for some reason in this game they're really quite imposing, and it definitely because it's like you said, this game is Resident Evil. Really, it feels like Resident Evil 1, with the manor, but you're in a hotel. It's got a lot of elements to Resident Evil 2 remake with the atmosphere and the map and
the save rooms.
The save rooms with the nice music, and it borrows a lot from Resident Evil, which is not a bad thing. And it's got even because in Resident Evil 2 remake in VR, I found the zombies in that were quite intimidating because they look so realistic and the noises they make and everything. And I find it's similar to this, like they're quite intimidating, the zombies in this. And one thing I am finding is I am pretty fed up with zombie games, but they've really done a good job with this one. I think this is probably one of the best I've played.
Yeah, definitely. The only issue is it only lasts like 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Which isn't. I'm okay with that person. I don't know what price is it.
$20.
I didn't pay it. Yeah, I mean it's okay. It's like £15. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah. The price is okay.
I like the.
I get it free, so I can't really.
Yeah, I didn't pay for it, but I do like the scavenging type thing. Again, it's very Resident Evil or Half-Life Alyx where you're going through drawers and finding ammo and stuff. I really like that in VR, and the interactions are really good as well. Like opening a drawer and stuff feels good. You're not fighting with the controls, and it's not clunky. So
almost every drawer and cabinet you can go in, but most items that you see you can't pick up.
Yeah, that is one thing that was a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to when you open a door, if the door's not fully open, I will just I'll try and push it with my hand, and your hand just goes through it. It's not got collisions or anything, which is a little bit. But most of the time you don't need to. Like the doors will just open enough. Like with the drawers, I think they've got it so if you just pull it a certain amount, they just open rather than you can't control them. I don't think, but
I think you can. I think.
Well, all right. Well, it always feels.
I didn't test that, but I never felt like this drawer was just opening on its own. But I'm not sure.
I've never had open a drawer where it's partially open. It always seems to be. It don't feel like it's like an automatic thing, but it just feels like when you go to open a drawer, it opens. I don't feel like I'm struggling to open it and fighting with things. It just works.
Oh, okay.
Which is a good thing, really. But,
Yeah.
yeah. There is a couple of things which I don't know if you mentioned any of this to them when you tested it, but there's one thing like when you first get out of this kitchen where you start in this kitchen area,
Hmm.
and you've got this guy who's got not great or voice acting, to be honest.
Yeah, I talked about that.
There's something annoying about it's a total nitpick, but it just annoys me with the story. It's like it keeps getting you to go first, but yet he's got the gun, and it's like, well, why are you telling me to go first when you've got the fucking gun? You go first. I don't want to
Yeah.
go first.
Yeah.
You're the one with the gun. But what you're having me walk forward
because they
and-
want to do that jump scare. I mean, they want you to.
Yeah, so that was annoying. And
Yeah.
then there's another bit which I actually watched your video and you commented on it. You walk through these doors and you're in this big like foyer area,
Hmm.
and there's a reception desk right in front of you, and you naturally go to the reception desk and then you go behind it,
Hmm.
and then you go to a room which is dark. You
Yeah.
need a flashlight, but you can see where the flashlight is. It's hanging down on a zombie that's
Yep.
holding it. So then naturally you go to where the zombie is and you're trying to get the flashlight off the zombie that's hanging down. You can even reach and grab his arm. So I was like trying to grab his arm to pull the zombie
Yeah.
down so I could get the flashlight. And you can't get it. You literally can't get the flashlight. But you have to go back up to the foyer area, trigger something which then separates you, and then you can go back and then something else happens which then gets you to have the flashlight. So that kind of like, it's not great level design on the way that they set that up.
The first time I played that, I just happened to go to the back where that guy Owen separates from you, and then I went.
Yeah.
So it all went the way it's supposed to. But the next time I played the game, I had forgotten that, and I just went straight to where the flashlight is, and I couldn't get the flashlight, and I thought it was a bug. So I reported it to them as a bug, and no, that is weird that you have to go a specific way first.
It's like triggering a script or something. And I watched Ian's VR Corner on Eurogame, and he played it today, and he did exactly the same thing. Went straight ahead, tried to get the flashlight. He was like, "Why can't I get the flashlight?" And then he ended up like wandering around, wondering what to do. Because I was wandering around, like not sure what to do at that point.
Yeah.
But obviously, you have to go off into this side door, which then triggers him saying, "Oh, I'll go this way, you go that way," and then you can do it. So if you do get stuck, then just go somewhere else until something triggers, and then you can carry on.
Also in the kitchen for me, and it happened in my video, it took Owen forever to get up off his chair and teach me how to do the gun. I couldn't figure out. I was going around looking at all the notes, and I couldn't figure out.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I figured they wanted you to kind of like read the notes and stuff, because it did take a while. Like I was like going into places like thinking, have I got to trigger something? I wasn't sure what was going on, but yeah, I ended up just reading all the notes, and even then there was still a bit of time where it was kind of just sat there.
Yeah. So I told them that on their Discord, and they said, "Oh, when you look at all the notes, he should get up from his chair." So I was like, "What?" So last night I went into the game and I was recording to show them the issue. I looked at all the notes, and then he stood right up. As soon as I looked at all, I was like, "What? Did they do a patch?" I don't know. I don't know what the difference was.
It's a bit of a forced kind of, yeah. And I guess they just wanted you to like take a bit of time to soak in the atmosphere and read up the backstory and stuff. But
there was one of the notes is a drawing, and if you stare at the drawing long enough, she goes, that seemed like a good plan. And
yeah,
I think maybe if you don't look at it long enough for her to say that it doesn't trigger as you looking at it, and that might have been the issue.
She did say that for me.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know then.
Another thing as well, which is something they do in every zombie game. I've never played a game with zombies that don't do this, but they have this thing where like in this game they had a radio where they're playing this message over this radio about like safety and stuff, and they're saying, "Oh, stay away from the zombies. If they scratch you or bite you, then you'll get infected." And then like seconds later, a zombie bites you, and you just get like this antiseptic spray. It's like, okay, so
why can't you just give everybody the antiseptic spray?
Yeah, but it's like even like Resident Evil, you literally get bit. Sometimes the zombies which will bite you, and you push them off, and but somehow you don't get infected. That's just That's just a thing that they do in every video game, but it's always makes me laugh when they kind of make this big deal about someone getting bit and then turning into a zombie, but yet somehow you can get bit constantly over and over, and it's fine.
Yeah.
You can talk about more than me though, because you've played a lot more.
Well, I don't want to give things away. There's a final boss.
Yeah, there's a big guy who you see him early on.
And for me, I couldn't figure out, when I first got to him, I couldn't figure out, what am I supposed to do? I couldn't figure it out. And then on the Discord, somebody had to tell me what you have to do. So if you get to him, you might feel the same way. Even the second time, I got to the boss when I was testing the game and I never beat him. And then the second time I played it, and my video, I did a full playthrough video. I beat him, but I still wasn't sure. Even in that video, I wasn't positive of what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious if you get there, and you can tell me what you thought.
Yeah, I'll see when I get there. I mean, I'm definitely going to keep playing it. I think I'm just getting a lot better in VR, to be honest, because I used to really struggle with scary games, but now I'm okay with it. Mm-hmm. Even jump scares, it's okay. I mean, once it's over, isn't it? So it's not so bad.
Yeah.
So shall I go next game?
Yeah.
So I've got, again, this is from last month, but Robinson the Journey is another game. I played this game way back when I had like an OG Rift CV1, and I thought this was one of my first games I played in VR actually, because it's like a walking sim, so it's not action or anything. You can take your time with it. It's a walking sim with light puzzles. It's made by Crytek, who obviously make Crysis and a few other games that are really high end visually, and it's definitely been, you can tell it's been made by a AAA studio. It's visually really impressive, and the game, there's just so much attention to detail. The game itself is about this boy who crash lands on a planet, and you have this robot companion, and the planet's basically like prehistoric Earth, so you're surrounded by just jungle and dinosaurs, and there's loads of different dinosaurs like pterodactyls, big long neck brachiosaurus type dinosaurs, T-Rex, velociraptors. There's loads of different dinosaurs and there's also like little creatures as well, like big snakes and caterpillars and things flying around, and you can scan them, and if you scan them, you can then look in like a 3D library where you can actually look at the models close up and stuff. It's really cool. Something I did a lot more this second time around. I think because now I've got this index, the visuals are so much more, even more impressive. It takes about another 4-hour long game. And there are a couple of bits that I remember getting stuck when I first played it, which I had to look up because it's not very intuitive, some of the puzzles. So if you get stuck on something, just look it up, because it's not really a puzzle game, but they have put some light puzzles in there.
I remember line puzzles. What other kind of puzzles were there?
It's just maybe they're not even. It's just knowing, like, there's a pterodactyl. You've got to figure out how to get it's holding onto something. You've got to figure out how to get it off the thing, and
something having to do with its nest and its eggs or something.
Yeah, and then there's sometimes you've got you've got this thing which looks like a move controller in your hand, and you can use that to, or a dildo in your case.
Yeah,
and you can use that to like teleport things, not teleport, like telekinesis, move things, and then position them. And because you don't really, it gets an early game, so it's not got like hand interactions or anything. So everything's done with either button presses where an animation will play, or you've got this thing which you can manipulate things with. But if you're okay with that, it's definitely worth experiencing just for the visuals and the journey and the world. There's a couple of recommendations I'll make. First, when I went in on Steam with the index, my controllers were the wrong way round. So my left hand was my right hand, and obviously it was unplayable. So I looked up online. What you have to do is you have to turn both controllers off, and then you start the left hand controller first, and then the right hand controller. If you do it the other way around, the hands are the wrong way around. So that's one thing you'll need to do. The other thing as well is that the visuals are really, really blurry, by default, like some of the blurriest you'll see, it must be rendering at a really low resolution or something. So what I recommend you do is I turn temporal anti-aliasing off and increase the in-game super sampling up to max. And if that's still not sharp enough for you and you've got a really good PC, there is a way you can do like an ini tweak to add even more super sampling, which is what I did. And the game looked absolutely incredible, like clear as sharp as you can get. It just looked incredible with that ini tweak. So
what about Steam VR super sampling? Did you put that up too?
It don't register it. That's the problem, I think. Because I tried moving that slider up and down. It made no difference.
But did you try with the game off and then go into the game?
Yeah, it doesn't affect it. So
okay.
it does not. It don't register any sort of outside super sampling. Because when I had the Oculus as well, I played it on the Oculus store, and it didn't register. Open tool tray super sampling or anything. So it's the same for the Climb as well. That's the same situation where you have to use the in-game super sampling. But yeah, I'll have to maybe send you the information for the any tweaks, Justin, and then you can put it in the YouTube description or something. But
okay,
yeah, it's definitely worth putting that in there because it really makes a massive difference to the clarity. But you do need a high-end PC, and you can adjust it as well. So you can, I had it I had it at 2.0 in the game, and then an extra 2.0 in the ini file. So you could you could do like 1.5 or something. So you could adjust it and tweak it to your setup. But as standard, it's going to look like shit. So if you go into it and it looks really bad, don't worry. It's just, for whatever reason, Crytek shipped the game in this really crap state, which it really pisses me off when they do that. Like, how many people are going to mess around with this stuff? Why can't they? Did they not test it? Did they not put it on and realize how bad it looked before they shipped it? I don't know. I don't know how this stuff gets through looking so bad like that.
Maybe that's just like how it looked on PSVR, and they just thought.
If that's what it looked like on PSVR, then wow. Can you even? That's not playable. I mean, I could barely read the menus. It was that bad.
Yeah. I don't know.
What did you think?
I beat it back when it came out, but I barely remember it. I used a Vive. Yeah. I must have turned off temporal anti-aliasing and.
Well, you left a review on Steam, and you mentioned that in your review. Yeah.
I don't even remember. What did I say?
You said that it's a good game, but you have to use the in-game super sampling and turn thingy off. So you must have done that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's worth revisiting if you've not played it. I haven't played it obviously for like 5 years.
Yeah. So
going back in with a more up-to-date headset and everything, it was like real experience in the game again. It was really cool.
I think I remember dying a lot toward the end. I don't remember. It was like some raptors.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't finish it because of that part. Yeah, I got to that part. I did it first time around, but this second playthrough, the best part of the game is up to where you get to that kind of these raptors, which are in this. You get to the a derelict spaceship. Yeah. That part was. I like the climbing part and getting down, but once you're in the actual spaceship, it kind of wasn't as good. The best part's being in the jungle and just like all the creatures and the wildlife and everything. And some of the when you get these big Brachiosaurus type dinosaurs, they look massive. Like there's one where it's like right in front of you with its head, and its head's the size of a minivan or something. It's just absolutely huge. Yeah. Really intimidating, but it's just really impressive. There's no other VR game with dinosaurs that looks as good as this. So if you like dinosaurs, it's worth it. Just to see them in VR, really.
Yeah. All right. So a medieval VR. This is a retro-looking first-person shooter. I think it came out in 2019. If you liked Quake or Doom, any of those types of games, you're gonna like this. It's what I like most about it is it's really fast. I mean, you move probably the fastest you'll move in any game. There are 7 episodes. Each one has 3 levels, and each episode has a boss level. Right now, I'm on episode 6, which is called Arcane Expanse. This one so far has been, I think, the most impressive visually. There's like this really colorful stained glass everywhere, and there's this warped wood that you walk on. So you have all these weird winding wooden paths, and the music is really good. It's like there's like piano and like orchestral type music. That's like I was like, whoa, like suddenly the game got even better in this episode 6 area, and I don't know. There's you'll get lots of different weapons. Some you actually swing your motion controller to make them hit the enemy. Then some are wands where all you have to do is press the trigger and it just blasts out, either like, blue orbs, or there's even one where it shoots planets at the enemies. It's basically a rocket launcher, but it's shooting planets instead. And I like it a lot, but you'd have to be into retro type games, and Alex is not. Correct?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like this. It's not my... the game's good, but it's just not my sort of thing.
Because the graphics aren't good enough?
Just the overall gameplay, because the gameplay is literally just you running around shooting stuff constantly. Plus, yeah, and the graphics aren't, the retro. So.
Yeah. And tell me this. When you were growing up as a kid, did you not like mazes?
Yeah.
You did?
I mean, I never really went in many mazes, but
I
like
mean, even just like
on
on a piece of paper. A maze like on a piece of paper.
Oh yeah, like where you draw like a thing and you have to like figure the path through. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because these games are they're basically just maze games with enemies. And,
yeah.
I thought that was my theory, that maybe you didn't like mazes as a kid, because I did, and I used to make my own mazes all the time, and I was thinking maybe that's why I like this type of game. I don't know, but no, that must not be it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's. I don't know. There's just something that bores me with these games. I don't know what it is.
You need a story.
Yeah, I find that even the best gameplay loops eventually get boring, and there needs to be something more to keep me going through a game, more than gameplay. And obviously, these games are literally pretty much all gameplay. So
yeah, okay. Oh yeah, and I did a video of that so you can see what that's like. By the way, I'm Mame Fan on YouTube, and Alex is Virtual Insider on YouTube.
That's correct.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about his what was the game? Westworld Awakening. Yeah, not too long ago you did a video talking about that and other hidden gems.
Yeah.
On your channel.
Yeah, that's why I played them, because I decided to make that video.
Was Robinson one of those?
Yeah, that Robinson, and there were 2 others. Oh, I think I put District Steel on there because that's just, even though it's a newer game, it's really not got sold very well. I don't think.
Did you put Defector on there?
No, I can't remember what.
There was some video recently where you did Defector, I thought.
Oh, about guns. I talk about
guns,
different weapons, and Defector had some interesting weapons in there. So
yeah. All right. I don't think I have much else to say.
Okay. So you recommend it?
Oh yeah. If you're into that type of game. Originally there were some performance issues, but I think either they've patched it or there was some minor change I made in Windows that somebody in the discussions was saying to do, and I don't know if that's what fixed it, but I don't have any performance issues now.
It defaults to Epic, and the performance for me was absolutely dog shit.
Playing now, I have it all on Epic and everything all maxed out, and I'm not having any performance issues.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I turned it down. I turned the shadows down to high, and that fixed the performance. But yeah, I had this really weird thing where I turned it to low by mistake, and then I tried turning it back up, and then my performance went so bad I could barely even use the menus. So it took me like 2 minutes just to try and click on the menus to change it back down again. It was pretty frustrating. But yeah,
I think there have been patches, but it might be one of these ones where they don't give you patch notes. I wish there were patch notes for all these patches. You log into Steam, there's all these patches that downloading, and I want to know what's happening.
Yeah, it would be nice to know what they do, but some developers don't.
Yeah.
Say.
Yeah. All right.
Yes, it's my game we talk about a lot, probably every month. But Walkabout mini golf, they've got a new course.
Temple at Zerzura.
Yeah, it's basically an Egyptian one, where you start off outside, and I think this is because of the type of structures. I think this is probably the one that looks most kind of realistic, because everything's kind of like pyramids, and the structures are generally a bit more simplified. So the low poly, you don't see that low poly aesthetic as much. I think visually, I think it's yeah. I thought the scale of everything was really impressive. Like you do feel like you're in this desert, and you've got these big pyramids and statues and stuff everywhere. I really liked the aesthetic of it. I'm finding that with the last two that they've done, I'm finding that the holes feel a bit cramped. Like we were playing through it and we didn't even realize that that this hole is a different hole to that because they were so close together.
Yeah.
That it feels like I feel like they should have like each hole should have its own little set area, and like with this one and the one with the upside down town, or whatever it's called, they're very cramped together, and I don't know if I can't remember if the others were like that, but it feels like they were a bit. Maybe it's a quest limitation, so they can't really do like these big areas. But yeah, it did feel a bit cramped in with some of the holes. The holes are decent though. Like some of them were pretty good. It's not my favourite in terms of the actual holes themselves, but I think the environment was really nice. And I'm going to buy every single one of these because every single one is just interesting to play.
Oh, yeah.
And I enjoy playing it with you and Josh. So
yeah, I was disappointed only because Upload VR, they did a video where they put Raiders of they said this new course is like Raiders of the Lost Ark in VR. So that I was like, whoa, are there going to be giant boulders and stuff coming after us? It wasn't anything like that. And I went to that video today and I saw that they took off Raiders of the Lost Ark and now it just says Egypt themed. So maybe somebody was like, hey, this isn't Raiders of the Lost Ark. So
well, yeah, it's nothing like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Not at all. Yeah. So I went into it, expecting way more. So I was like, oh, this is it?
Yeah, it's just an Egyptian themed. It's cool though. I liked it.
Yeah, but it's like you said, it's not one of my favorites. It's might be my least favorite.
Really?
I think of the.
It's better than
the
some of the
DLC.
originals, I think.
I haven't even played them all, to be honest. So I don't know.
Oh, we need to do that. We need to do that then. Yeah, what is your favorite you've played so far?
Maybe Labyrinth. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I liked the theme of the Labyrinth, but it was really hard. Like, it was one of the hardest ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I liked the underwater one visually. I thought that was the best visually. I think overall there's one called. What's it called? I can't remember the name of it. It's like it's in like a countryside with windmills and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And you're like in a valley with like a river that's coming down to this like an estuary, I guess. And there's just something about that level that I really like the atmosphere and the wind, where the wind affects the balls and stuff. Yeah, I think that's my overall favorite. But I think the visually, I think the one underwater is probably the best visually.
Yeah, you said two words now that you never hear in the U.S. You said estuary and you said derelict. And I like talking to you because sometimes there are these words that you say that you just never hear.
Estuary? What do you?
We never say estuary here, but it's a word that
yes,
could
when
be
a
used
river,
here.
a river joins the sea. That's called an
Just,
estuary.
nobody ever says that word here.
What do you call it?
Or derelict. I mean, that's the right word. I don't know if there's an alternate, but you just never hear it.
Huh.
But sometimes
I guess you never talk about it though. I mean,
yeah.
I've not used it for a while.
Yeah. So I don't know anything else about Walkabout.
No, we've talked about it like every month. So
Yeah.
it's like we just give an update on the new courses, really.
Yeah. So Memories from Beyond a Coral Sea. I played this yesterday, and I thought this was just going to be some little short BS thing, but it was way more than that. You could spend 3 hours in this, and it's free on Steam. You start out on this island. It's like a tropical island, but it's pretty small. There's a couple palm trees. There's rocks. There's pieces of wood on the ground and shells and things. But at first you're going to be disappointed. He's like, it's teleport. And I think you said that, did you say the developer's going to add free loco? Did you read that or something?
Yeah, the developer said they're going to try and update with free locomotion.
Okay. And then we both had a grip issue where you had to squeeze your index controller pretty hard to pick things up.
Yeah.
But you can change that if you go into the controller bindings. You can the grip threshold is up to 80, which is really high, and if you set it to the default, which is 25, it's no issue. Or
Wonder how they changed that. Did they change that, or do you
yeah,
think it's just
I
some
don't
weird? I
know.
don't know. I've had that in other games as well, where it's like you have to squeeze the controllers to get anything to pick up.
Yeah, there are games where I have intentionally made it harder to grip things, like games where you have guns and weapons on your side. I get so annoyed that I keep accidentally grabbing them, so I'll put the
Yeah,
threshold up higher.
yeah.
Like I did that in Saints and Sinners because I was getting pissed off so much because I kept.
Oh, that happens a lot in that game. Yeah,
Yeah,
something weird about that. With proper constantly picking things up that I don't want to.
yeah. Well, and with the left controller, when I want to run, I have to click the stick in. Well, to click the stick in, I kind of have to grip my controller,
Yeah,
and then I end up grabbing the thing on my left side. It's
yeah.
happened to me in so many games, which is one of my issues with the index controllers. I really wish they had an actual analog grip button, but
Right.
you don't. You like the way they
No,
are, right?
I like it way. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like not having to actually press a button.
yeah. So, but there's a menu where you can switch to trigger instead of grip if you want to. So the graphics are really nice. You know who I saw in the Steam discussions? Our friend Rune was
Oh, he
in there
loves
talking
this.
about
Yeah.
talking about the dynamic shadows. It
Oh
it
yeah.
the trees and vegetation blow in the wind, and you do see their shadows dynamically moving as they blow. And you can swim in the water, and that's really cool. And that all looks good. And there's coral and seaweed, and there's fish, and there's even I saw a sea turtle, shark, all sorts of stuff. You'll find a bag on the island, and you can store things in it. And to look in the bag, you put it on your head. It's pretty interesting. And you can end up with so many things in this bag that you're surrounded 360 degrees inside that bag with items. Yeah, my bag was so full of shit. And after this first island, you'll get to a place where you can climb. So there's climbing in this too. And I think there are 4 chapters. That first island that you got to is the first chapter.
Yeah.
I think because of the teleport and the grip, you said you didn't want to continue, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait. Because you have to teleport, and then you've got to literally physically like bend down to pick stuff up. So then I was like bending down, having to squeeze my hand so hard.
Yeah.
It felt, it was actually hurting my hand, and then it was I just couldn't be bothered. But as soon as they had smooth locomotion, and obviously I can tweak the grip sensitivity, I'll give it another go. It sounds like it's actually quite a lot more to it than I expected. So.
Yeah, it's cool. Especially if you like, I really like exploration and just like
Yeah,
finding stuff. There's some light puzzles, like how you're gonna get off the island, and then when you get to somewhere else, like what you're gonna do over there. You could beat this in probably under 30 minutes if you knew what to do. Like I could do a
right.
speed run,
Yeah,
but there's a bunch of other stuff that you can discover aside from that.
that's like any puzzle game though. If you know the
Yeah,
solution, you're gonna be able to
yeah,
get through it really quick.
yeah. What else was I gonna say? There's something I just thought of.
I thought because you start off like on a boat in the sea
Mm.
in like a storm,
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, I've got like phasmophobia or whatever it is, where I've got a fear of the like deep ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get off the boat and you're like in the sea and you see the boat sinking, that genuinely kind of gave me a horrible feeling.
Hmm.
I did not enjoy that one bit.
Yeah, somebody said that in the Steam discussions too.
Yeah, it
That they
was
want an option to
genuinely.
skip that part.
I mean, I didn't. I mean, I stuck with it, but yeah, I was literally tensed up. I did not. I just really didn't enjoy it. It was pretty intense. It's not like a scare. It's like just general anxiety and just it's not a nice feeling. But
I wish I could feel that way. I really do. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I mean, it's not real, you know what I mean? So even though I've got that fear, I'm not gonna be a pussy and tell them to get rid of it. If you can't get through something that makes you feel a bit uncomfortable, then get over it. Personally, but yeah, it's a bit uncomfortable, but it's a video game. It's not that big of a deal.
and it's right now it's free, so get it on Steam while you can because they're gonna end up charging for it at some point. The developer said so. Unless you want to wait and support them, maybe I will. If and they have a soundtrack that you can pay for, so that's one way to support them.
Yeah, I think you said there's no saves or something.
Oh yeah, that's another issue. There's no save. So I got really far into it. I put like maybe 3 hours into it, and then I had to go do something. So I turned the game off. I went back into it, and I had to start all over from the beginning.
Yeah, I think they said they're going to fix that as well, and they should at least save if it's in chapters. They should at least each chapter should be a new save point. I guess
Yeah.
with all the stuff you can pick up, you've got to like figure out how to save like everything you've got in your bag and position it and everything. It's probably more complicated than it sounds.
Yeah.
The bag thing was quite interesting, where you actually put your head, inside the bag. That was something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think it's something I want to go back to, but I'm gonna wait for them to improve it first.
Even if like somebody just wants like just a relaxing island environment, if that's all you, this is worth it just for that, because you could just relax. Some people like to just like relax in VR. I don't.
Oh,
but some people do. That would be a great place.
Do you know at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
you have to lay down? Do you have to lay down? Or not?
Oh yeah, great thing to point out. It's really weird. Yeah, I was sitting in a chair at first, and I just put my head back, and I was like, "This is gonna trigger it lying down, right?" Nope. The headset has to be down at ground level.
Near the floor, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good idea, but it's a
Yeah.
pain in the ass to get up and down and.
I was
blind.
just taking my headset off and just holding it down at the ground. I didn't bother
Bastard.
lying down. And it actually, I don't think the tilt of it matters. It only matters the height.
Yeah, it's just the height from the
Yeah.
floor, I think.
Yeah. But they said they're gonna add an option to do that with a button press because some people are disabled. Some people.
Yeah, some people
Can't do
literally
that.
can't get literally lay down on the floor and then have to. The main problem was getting back up, with controllers in my hand and
Yeah.
trying to get myself up completely blind in my room. It wasn't ideal, but I appreciate them doing something different. Like it was cool, like because it says to lie down and close your eyes, and then obviously because you're in the water, and then you kind of wake up on this desert island, so it's kind of getting you to wake up as if you've been cast ashore, and then you wake up and you're on this desert island, and then you have to get up and
Yeah.
solve puzzles and escape and stuff.
Yeah. And also, there's great music in this, which is why they have a soundtrack, and there's also great narration.
Yeah, that was the voice works really good.
Yeah. Was it a British? I can't even remember. Was it a British accent?
Yeah, it's British.
Yeah. So, you or me? I guess you now.
It's me. Yeah, I'll talk about Contractors. So I'm in the middle of making a video about Contractors, but one thing, have you played Contractors?
Yeah, a long time ago. I haven't played it much.
Yeah, we should get a bit of a game going because
Yeah.
it's actually improved a lot, and now they've added quest support, so like it's always got lobbies full of people, and they've also got incredible mod support, which is one thing I'm talking about in my video because it's unbelievable. The community have really got behind this game, and you can do like maps, but you can do loadouts and you can do game modes. And in the loadouts, you can do loadouts for like actual video games that exist. So you've got like Halo, you've got Team Fortress 2. There's what else is there? There's like a Call of Duty one. There's a few others that I've forgotten about. Oh, there's a Titanfall 2 one, and it's not just like the guns. It changes everything. It changes your avatar. So like in Team Fortress, you've got the body of a Team Fortress 2 character, and if you're playing Halo, you're a Master Chief guy. It changes the speed, so like some game modes you can jump higher and you can move faster. Like with the Titanfall one, you can wall run and stuff. It's got classes, so like with the Team Fortress 2 loadout, you've got all the classes from the game, like your scout and your sniper and your heavy and stuff, and each one's got its own set of weapons and movement speeds. And it's like the Team Fortress 2 ones. If you've got Team Fortress 2 maps, and then you've got the Team Fortress 2 loadout, if you combine it together, you're literally playing Team Fortress 2. It's that good. It literally feels and looks like Team Fortress 2, but in VR. It's really impressive.
Is there stuff you have to do outside of the game to make this all work?
No, it's all built in.
Oh.
The mods, if you join a game that you haven't got the mods, it just automatically downloads them for you. So like if I set up a game and you join my game, if you've not already downloaded those mods, it'll just download them and then you'll be able to join. So it's really painless. It's really well done.
I think the last time I played Contractors, it was an external thing. It was like Modern Warfare something that.
Yeah, I did that before. The maps aren't as good as they used to be because they're crossplay, so they have to work on both Quest and the PC. But like the Team Fortress ones look really good. Like because it's obviously an older game, it looks genuinely great in VR. But obviously some of the like Call of Duty maps can look a little bit low resolution and in textures and stuff, but still great. Like there was one I was playing. There's another one. There's a Battlefront, like a Clone Wars, Star Wars loadout, where you've got like the droids versus the stormtroopers, and you've got all the blaster guns, and you can have power ups where you can be like Luke Skywalker, or you can get a speed rider. You know, it's really incredible what they've done with the modders, and the gunplay is satisfying. The guns actually have got manual reloading for these, like Team Fortress guns and stuff, and yeah, it's incredible. If you want a first person like PvP shooter, I can't recommend this one enough. It's definitely the best in my opinion that's available. It's got so much. You can go from one game where you're playing, Team Fortress 2, and then the next minute you're playing, Call of Duty Zombies in SpongeBob SquarePants environment and stuff. It's just like so much diversity, and it's not just that you're not playing just a different map because each loadout completely changes the gameplay. It feels like it feels like you're playing different games. It's not like just the same game, just in different environments. It's really, really well done.
So and that's your next video?
Yeah, I've been working on it for a while, but I've been sorting some other stuff out. But yeah, it should be up next week, hopefully.
Okay.
I'll cover some of these games, some of these mods and stuff. So keep an eye out for that.
All right, next game, Agony VR. We got a free key for that.
Thank God.
This is based on the flat version of a game called Agony that I never played. And my first reaction was, all right, this is a little blurry. But I found out you could turn up, it didn't have its own in-game super sampling, but I could turn up Steam VR super sampling, but I had to have the game off. It wouldn't change it while the game was running. So I had to exit the game, turn it up. I put it up to 500, and that made it very clear, but the performance was a little bit of an issue, so I don't know where. You could figure out where. The controls were a little weird. I think my hands didn't, like when you grip and stuff, I think my hands didn't grip in the game. I think they just were like, hands that just...
The controls are crap.
Yeah.
They're rubbish.
It's free loco, but you can end up getting stuck on stuff.
All the time.
Yeah.
Like, constantly, because it's not, you're in these environments which are really detailed and everything, but there's virtually nothing flat. You're walking over like hills and stuff all the time, and I was getting stuck constantly. You're
walking on blood and guts.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the blur, it's got some sort of depth of field on or something, because it was blurry. It was kind of like, if you look off to the distance, it's a bit blurry. I could probably figure out how to fix that with some like any tweaks, but they need, because when you go into the options as well, there's no graphics options.
There is a low, medium, high or something.
Was there? Because when I clicked on it, it didn't do anything.
Yeah. Like I had to click on it like 20 times, and then it started changing. And people were complaining about that in the discussions, and they patched it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Let's fix that then.
Yeah. So I don't know what this game is supposed to be. It's like you're in hell, basically. I don't know, but there's weird shit and demons everywhere, blood and guts. You hear moaning all the time, and I don't know if somebody's having sex or if they're getting tortured. I'm not sure. The first nudity I came across was a crucified old man, so I got to see his dick. I went into this thinking, oh, there's gonna be boobs everywhere, but not. It took a while for that to happen. And I think one of the first naked women I came across was holding a baby but the baby had like an old man's face, and it was crying, and she was either shitting or pissing in her hand, and then feeding it to the baby. So that's the kind of game we're talking about here. And is that when you turned it off, Alex?
Yeah, I tried to get a little bit further, and I was like, "Why am I playing this? This game is just disgusting." I just don't understand why someone would want. It's not like I get a horror game. You play it for the adrenaline, for the, that fear of potentially getting hurt and getting your heart rate up. But this is not scary. It's just straight up disgusting to the point where it's like, it makes you question your own humanity of why am I spending my time doing this, being surrounded by this just real weird. It's like some sort of weird fetish game or kink game or something. It's just not. It's not for me, definitely. And the reviews are positive. It's like some people are like, oh yeah, I finally get to experience this in VR. It's like, why would you want to? It's disgusting.
If you just want to be shocked, I guess. I don't know. One of the reviewers said he brought up that woman who was feeding the baby shit, and he was like, well, that's when I knew this game was for me, or some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah, those people, I hope they're not in a relationship. I hope they'd never get into a relationship, because that's just some weird shit right there.
Or he's probably just kidding. I hope. I don't know.
Well, I don't know, because he had. I saw that same review and he had enough playtime in it. It's not like he didn't play it.
Yeah, and I was walking around in this maze-like area, and they're kind of like booby traps. They look pretty cool, like the spinning blades and stuff, and you just dodge that, but you're wandering around like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I got stuck.
Yeah, did you use? There's torches you can pick up, and when I say torch, I mean the American style torch of flame, not a flashlight.
Yeah, it's like
what do you guys
torch.
call those? What do you call what we call a torch?
What you mean? Like a flaming torch.
A piece of wood that has fire on it. What do you call that?
Yeah, we still call it a torch.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I think that's where the word originates from. So like, originally, obviously, a torch was a piece of wood with fire on it to light your way, and then obviously when we made it into a bulb, we still called it a torch because it's still doing the same thing. But yeah.
So if you had a flashlight and a torch next to each other on a counter, and you only wanted one of those, how would you tell someone which one you wanted?
Well, I mean, I would have a stick with some flames coming out on a counter.
Or let's say there's no flame on it.
Oh, right.
Whatever.
Okay. So then it's just a stick.
Then it's just you would say, give me that stick. Well, let's say it's on fire. And
I'm not sure what sort of situation am I in where I've got a torch, and then I've got a flaming torch, and somehow I've got.
Is that what you'd say? You'd say, "Give me the flaming torch." Is that how?
Yeah, I mean, I'd just say it's a flaming torch.
All right. Okay. I like to learn these things.
I'm just imagining me in this situation where I've got this flame sat there on a stick, just on a desk, and I'm like trying to instruct someone which one to pick up. Yeah, that's quite funny.
And I kept going through this maze, and then I came across this like demon-looking woman with her tits hanging out, and I was like, all right, that's better than that crucified dude's dick. So I went up to her, and then she killed me. Yeah, I didn't realize she was going to kill me. That happened to you too?
Yeah, and that's when I stopped.
Yeah, and then the screen went gray, but then you can fly around everywhere.
Yeah, I was like, what am I supposed to be like going into someone else's body or something?
Yeah.
I didn't really know what I was supposed to be doing.
I tried a few more times, and I still didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, so I gave up.
I got to the exact same place as you.
Yeah, okay.
It's just not. It's just not a good. It's not. I mean, who am I to judge? If you like it, it's fine. I just think that it's weird, and I don't understand why someone would. It's like, did you ever watch Walking Dead series?
Yeah.
I watched a few seasons of that, and it got to a point where it was getting so grotesque and kind of over the top.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was when
Oh,
that
like
guy.
when the Asian guy died.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
basically where I got to, and I was like, and I just stopped watching it. I was like, why am I watching this? This is just really disturbing. Like, why? This I'm not. This is not
Glenn?
fun.
Is it
Yeah, it
Glenn?
was Glenn. Yeah, he got
Yeah.
his head caved in, and it was
Yeah.
like, why am I watching this? And I just stopped watching it. I haven't watched it since.
Yeah.
And I just felt the same about this game. It's like I played a bit, and it was like, why am I spending my time in something that's so disturbing and like what was that remember that magazine? I don't know if you can remember it. Was it called Bizarre or something? What was it
I
called?
don't think I've ever seen it. Oh,
Someone in
in like college and stuff, I went to tons of sites that were horrible. You
yeah, there
know.
used to be this magazine which someone at work used to showed me. I think it was called Bizarre or something like that, and it was basically actual showing like people had been killed, like
Yeah.
actual photographs of people who had been chopped to pieces and literally not like fake, literally real pictures of people who had been shot in the
Yeah.
head, and
Yeah,
it
there was
was
a
just
site
so
there was a site called like Ogrish that was just like that.
yeah,
Um, so yeah,
so
when I was
weird.
young, like a teenager, I would look at that stuff, but I regret it now that I'm 43, and I wouldn't want to see any of that shit now.
I mean, I looked at it and I immediately was like, no, it made me feel, literally made me want to throw up. It was so
Yeah,
disgusting. Because when you know, it's like when you watch a film and everything, it's like you know it's not real, but
yeah,
when you see something and you know that it's real and that's actually a dead body that's got his head blown off, it's genuinely disturbing.
yeah,
Genuinely disturbing.
yeah,
At least you know I
yeah,
won't be a murderer, so I
yeah.
just couldn't do that.
So I guess I'll talk about. I skipped this last time. 3D Sen VR. I played a bunch of 3D Sen VR. So this is NES games in VR where you can. It's room scale NES games, so you can walk around them, get behind them. So I did a video on every one of these games: Adventure Island, Mappy, Mega Man 2, Adventure of Lola 1 and 2, Felix the Cat, Pooyan, Hogan's Alley, Burger Time, and
Pooyan.
Pooyan. I know.
There's something called Pooyan.
Yeah, there's something called Pooyan.
What the hell's that about?
You're a pig trying to protect your baby pigs from wolves that are coming at them on they're using balloons. They're like
Okay.
flying on balloons trying to get to your baby pigs, and you're shooting at them, and you're in this you go vertically up and down in this little, I don't know, carriage thing that's hanging on a rope, and you just press up and down, and you fire with the fire button, and you just try to hit the balloons so that
To take them out of the sky.
to take them out of the sky.
Yeah.
It was originally an arcade game by Konami.
Pooyan.
Yeah, Pooyan.
Okay.
And Hogan's Alley, Burger Time, and Wild Gunman. And yeah, I mean, I really recommend 3D Sen VR if you're into retro games. It's so cool. So people keep requesting more of these, and I'm happy to do them because they're just so cool looking. And also, it's actually a lot less work for me to do these than it is to like do my arcade videos. Because in those, I have to worry about like making the artwork look good and shit. And these, I can just play the game and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's on Steam. It's on itch.io for maybe $20, maybe 15. I'm not sure.
So then you have to download the ROMs or something.
Yeah, you need the
from somewhere.
ROMs, which they're easy to get online.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely not for me, but if you're into retro stuff, then sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last thing I'll talk about then is something that I think I mentioned it before. There's something called the Unreal Injector, which has been made by Praydog. Praydog's the guy who made the Resident Evil VR mods, the motion control VR mods. And luckily I'm a tester, so I've got actual access to this. And recently there's been a massive breakthrough where he's managed to figure out a way to universally across most Unreal Engine games add like 3D motion controls, which if you don't know what that means, so with your normal VR you've got something called 6DoF, which is 6 degrees of freedom. So what that means is you can literally like lean forward and backwards, you can tilt your head up, down, left, right. You can twist your head. You can obviously do the same with your controllers, twist your wrists and, pull them towards your chest or further away from your body. That's 6 degrees of freedom. But 3DOF is where you can only move the hand. You can only aim by moving your hand up, down, left and right. You can't pull it forwards or backwards towards you, and you can't twist your wrist and it won't affect that. So it's kind of like, imagine you've got the in-game character's arm in front of you. As you move your controller around, the arm is moving just on that plane, like on that. The arm's not moving forwards and backwards. The arm's just stuck in that plane of wherever it is, but it will then aim left, right, and up and down. And you can do that with your motion controls, so you can actually aim with the motion controls rather than using a thumbstick. And he's also added a way to do two-handed aiming, so that you can actually pull your hands up with two controllers, and then the aim will be dictated by the difference between the two controllers. So you can tilt your hand around like you would if in a two-handed gun in VR, and that will affect the aim not just with one hand, with both hands. So it makes it feel much more. It's like if you're in a first-person shooter where you've got a two-handed weapon, it feels much more natural, and it actually feels more like a native VR game with the two-handed stuff than if you've just got obviously one hand out holding like a rifle with, and obviously your in-game character's holding two hands on it. So it helps with the immersion to make it feel more native over just the one-handed as well. And he's trying to figure out a way to switch that so that because obviously some games still have one-handed weapons, they'll have two-handed weapons, they'll have sometimes when you haven't got a weapon. And at the moment, to switch, you have to go through like a menu and stuff, so it's a little bit fiddly. And I think he's trying to figure out a way to do it either with a button press combination or maybe automatically detect when your controls are in front of each other, sort of, so that it'll automatically just switch, and then you can just bring the other controller down the side, and it'll automatically switch to one-handed as well. But that's something that's work in progress. But yeah, it's really impressive what he's done. You can inject into most Unreal Engine 4 and in the Unreal Engine 5 games, and it feels like a native VR game in terms of you being able to be in the game and look around and lean in and everything. But then obviously you're going to play some stuff with a gamepad or a mouse and keyboard. Like if you've got a third-person game or a side-scroller or stuff, you're not really going to want to use the motion controls. But then obviously you've got first-person stuff, which you can now play with this 3DOF motion control scheme. And it's obviously not full VR, but it's good enough to a point where it feels more natural, and I struggle to aim with a thumbstick in first-person shooters. So being able to actually aim just naturally with your hands, it feels great. It feels so much better than with a thumbstick. And again, you've got options for you've got options for head aim as well. So you can have the head will aim where you look, and now you can do like I'm playing some stuff stood up where I'm physically turning my body, and because the controller's tracked, and as I'm turning with my controller, my character turns with me. Like, it's not full room scale right now, so it does cause problems where if you're turning around physically, you can obviously sometimes get off center where you're not perfectly in line center, so then the crosshairs aren't quite lined up. So if you shoot in the game, because your head's not where it should be on the character, the aim will be slightly off. So that's something he's working on. He's working on adding some sort of basic room scale, where the in-game model will kind of be stuck to your position of the head, so that even if you move around your space, it'll kind of follow you. I think he said that might be possible. So I think that's the next step for like a room scale experience. But if you play seated, it's definitely perfect as it is now.
Is that an issue with the 3DOF control also, or is that only a head-based thing where that's an issue?
No, it's for this. Yeah, it's for the 3DOF as well, because obviously, like it can get a little bit funky. Like I've tried a couple of games. Like I tried a shooter, and it can get it's a bit like a Hitman, where you have to do the reset like sometimes because your body gets a bit screwed up and stuff. Your body can get screwed up, but your aim is off, so you have to then do a quick reset to reset your position. So
With
that
the
your aim's,
UE tool.
with the UE tool, yeah, you can open the menu by pressing both thumbsticks down, and then what you do is you press the right trigger, and then you can press, I think it's like Y and X on the gamepad. Like you press Y and then you press X afterwards, and that like recenters your position. So it's really quick to do. But obviously for like immersion purposes, it'd be nice if there was a way to add room scale, and it's something that he's working on. But I mean, the guy is just like a straight up genius, to be honest. I don't know how he does this stuff, but yeah, because what he's doing is he's tapping into the engine, and he's using the existing code that's there for VR, but he's somehow enabling it for games that don't have the plugins for VR. So it don't matter if they've got the plugins there or not. It just works. You load the game, you inject afterwards, and then you put the headset on, and everything appears. The menus appear like on a flat screen in front of you and everything, and then you can go into the game and everything's 3D. You can look around. It's great for platformers. It's great for third-person games because it feels you can still look around naturally and everything's 3D. You can adjust the world scale so you can make things look more life size, or you can make them look more like a diorama, like you're looking down on it. You can adjust the camera so you can bring the camera, like if you are playing a third-person game and you feel like you're too far away, you can bring the camera closer and bring it down a little bit. And it's all been really well made so that you can do this stuff really quickly and easily. And I don't know when it's going to get released. He still hasn't given the release date. But with the state it's in now, I just don't... He said it's definitely going to be this year, but I just don't think it's going to be... I think it's going to be like probably, a few months. I don't think it's going to be like towards the back end of the year. I can't imagine it being, after summer or anything. I think it'll be within summer time, at least, at the latest. And yeah, it works on on loads of games. I've not played much first-person stuff because when I was testing it before, it didn't have this 3DOF motion control thing. So, and I just didn't enjoy playing. I don't enjoy playing first-person things with a gamepad. I know you've played some stuff like Luke Ross mods and Cyberpunk and stuff. I just don't, for some reason, I just don't find it that engaging.
I didn't like Cyberpunk at all, but I did
I
like
mean,
Horizon Zero Dawn is what I liked.
yeah, third-person stuff I'm fine with. It's just for some reason first-person.
Oh no, I know I did it first person.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, first person the whole time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he's got like a first-person mod.
Maybe that's better because it was just bow and arrow, and it's less of it's not a shooting game where you're constantly shooting or something.
Yeah, I just personally, I'm just kind of bored of the gameplay loop of first-person shooters where you just aim, and I really enjoy. The thing I like about VR is not just the immersion; it's the fact that you've got your hand and it's independent to your head, and you can literally just aim naturally by pointing your hand out and shooting a gun. That's what I enjoy about VR, not just being in the world. And I know some people can play, full games with a gamepad first person, and that's great. More power to you. But personally, I just get bored with them. So I'm glad that he's done this with the 3DOF because it's gonna make games that I would probably never have played playable. Games like Atomic Heart. There's that High on Life shooter, which is that Justin Roiland shooter, which looks really cool. There's so many first-person shooters that we don't even know about because they're like smaller indie games, but they're probably better than most VR games, but they're not like AAA quality, but they're still really good. There's obviously third-person stuff like Star Wars, what's that, Jedi Fallen Order, and the new one which has just come out, Jedi Survivor. Psychonauts 2 is a platform which works with it. Crash Bandicoot 4 works with it. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of Unreal Engine 4, and it also supports Unreal Engine 5. And as we know, a lot of new developers are actually moving to Unreal Engine 5. So you've got what's that Dead Space-like game? Callisto Protocol. That's Unreal Engine 4. You've got loads of new games like that Judas, the Bioshock. The guy who made Bioshock, he's making a new game called Judas, which is basically Bioshock. That's coming out this year, which is Unreal Engine 4 or 5. You've got the System Shock 2 remake that's coming out, and that's Unreal Engine. So the list is just incredible that it's going to open up to people with high quality AAA, AA, indie games. There's just so many games. You're not going to be able to play them all. It's just going to be incredible.
What are the best games you've played?
Like I say, I haven't played many first-person ones yet because I'm still waiting for him to fine-tune things before I
Yeah.
get into them. So the stuff that I've played that I've enjoyed the most, there's one called What Remains of Edith Finch, which it's it's a first-person game, but it's not a shooter. It's kind of like a walking sim, but it's difficult to describe because it's only about 2 hours long, but it's just one of the most incredible experiences I've had in VR. You go into this old house as this girl who's revisiting like a childhood home, but all of her family are dead, and it's telling the story of how they died. It's just I don't want to spoil anything, but they just like she'll read something and then it like teleports you into that situation. So then you're the person, like you might be a child or the father or the mother, and it just it's so diverse in the different things that happen that you sometimes you get you turn into animals and you're a cat up in a tree, and then the next minute you're in the water as a fish, and it's just in VR it was just one of the most incredible experiences. It's just so memorable that it's one that I'd highly recommend with the injector. It's just incredible.
Can you use the injector with just your motion controller gamepad and not have to mess with keyboard and mouse and stuff?
It's easier with keyboard and mouse because what you have to do is you load the game first, and then you have to alt tab out of the game, and then you have to select the game exe file on the injector menu, and then you press inject, and then you have to click on the game again to get the game back up full screen. So it's possible, like if you had Steam VR, you could use the desktop view through Steam VR and do it through the headset, but it's definitely going to be easier if you obviously have a mouse and keyboard handy, which obviously not everyone's VR setup is next to the mouse and keyboard. But yeah, I mean, it can be a bit fiddly at times. Obviously, it's a universal mod, but not everything's going to work out of the box perfectly. Sometimes you are going to have to like tweak things. So if you're not into that sort of faffing around, you might find it a bit frustrating. But I think they're trying to make a website that's going to have like profiles, so you can make like a profile for a game, and then you can download that profile, so that you don't have to mess around with it. Someone else has already set things up, and you can also like when you move the camera, you can save cameras, so you can save to 3 different camera positions. So if you want to have one which is closer, one which is further away, and then there's shortcuts you can press which change the camera, so you can create your own custom cameras, which is something that even just in flat games, I think a lot of people would enjoy that. But in VR especially, it's really handy. Like if you're playing a third-person game, you can kind of make it more like Hellblade, where it's like over the shoulder, everything's more scaled accurately. Or you can pull the camera up and down and make it so it's more like like a miniature diorama, so everything looks like a figurine in front of you, like a dollhouse and everything. It's really incredible what you can do with this. It's a really powerful tool.
Are those
And it's going to
presets
open up.
that affect everything, or just specific to the game?
Yeah, each when it injects, it creates a separate folder on your computer with all the like config files and stuff.
Okay.
So each game has its own setup. So when you like change something and back out of the menu, it's automatically saved. So if you back out of the game and load the game up, it remembers all the stuff that you've changed. So you don't have to set it up every time, which is why you can actually then save those files, take those files and give them to someone else, and then they could put that in their location on the computer, and that would then give them all your settings that you've just done. So there's ways to share. It's just obviously trying to create a way to network so that everyone can kind of upload and stuff. That's there is a website in progress, but obviously it's going to be a lot of work to get that system in place. And yeah, so that what remains of Edith Finch. There's a game called Observer, which I've started playing, which is kind of, it's like a detective game in like a cyberpunk environment. So you're going through these incredible realistic looking environments, and you have to solve a murder, and as things progress you can kind of hook into the brain of these dead people, and then you're transported into their mind, like their memories, but the memories are a bit screwed up, and it's like transference. Remember the VR game?
And I remember Anthony talking about it all the time.
Yeah, where things like get bit wacky, where you're like on the ceiling and stuff like that, and things like you'll walk into a room and then you turn around and everything's changed. It does that a lot, and it's something that works really well in VR. It's really really trippy. So that's definitely something I've tried, which I recommend. Crash Bandicoot 4 feels like literally a native VR game, third person VR game, like Astrobot. It's so it's perfect. Like you can look around and there's nothing broken. The entire world's like rendered around you and stuff. Same for Psychonauts 2 is the same. You can play that in VR and it feels pretty much native VR. Cockpit games work really well. Like I played Gravel, which is a racing game, and that literally feels like a native VR game where you're in a cockpit and you can use a steering wheel and pedals, and it feels like you're actually just playing a native racing game.
And you did a video of that one.
Yeah, I made a video of that as well, which is I'm showing the game and the injector and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that I want everyone to be able to play. I wish I could, like, say, try it now, but it's not out yet. But I just wanted to make people aware of it because it's definitely something that's going to completely transform people's gaming libraries. I mean, you might want to start looking at Unreal Engine games now you're interested in, and wishlisting them and picking them up on sales, because once this thing comes out, you're going to want to buy some games to play with it. So
I know how's everyone going to afford it?
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's why. Because some of these stuff are older, so you can do it. Works with Game Pass as well. So if you've got Game Pass, which you can get like deals for like $1 a month, and you have access to higher what's that game? Higher Life Shooter and Atomic Heart, and there's like probably 20 games you could play, quality games on Game Pass you could play with this injector. So yeah, it's going to open up people's libraries to a massive amount when it comes out. And it's future proof because like so many games are getting made in Unreal Engine 5. Like the Cyberpunk developers are making their next game. They're making I think they're making a Witcher 1 remake in Unreal Engine 5. So that'll be playable with the injector. I think there's a Codemasters open world racing game that's being made with Unreal Engine 5. So it's like you've got this big backlog of games and new stuff that's constantly coming out. That's like high end. Hogwarts Legacy is Unreal Engine 4, and that works with the injector. So it's just like incredible the amount of games you're gonna have to play.
Are they avoiding adding support for these games like GTA and Red Dead, like these games that I don't know if they're Unreal Engine, but like
the remakes, the GTA trilogy remake was all on Unreal Engine. It has been tested, it does work, but when it's something that they're not going to be promoting, because obviously if that gets DMCA'd, then it will just pull the entire thing down, and it's not just that one game, it works on too many games to risk it. So I don't know how they're going to stop people like showing that, because obviously once it comes to public, anyone can just show it working in VR. Maybe
is there a way they could disable it somehow, like that you can't run that?
It could probably be maybe like have a thing where it blocks a certain exe file name.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Oh, but then you could rename it, maybe. I don't know.
No, I don't think you can rename exes without it breaking everything.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think that would be the best way out. It's something I'll probably speak to him about doing, because I do. It'd be such a shame for him to spend he spent months on this thing. It's like he's been working on it for like 7 months now, and it's going to open up so much for some people. And the other thing as well is that it's going to have. He's working on getting blueprint support. So like a VR game in Unreal Engine with the plugins, what that enables is that modders can then go into the Unreal editor and they can mod in what motion control supports and add all sorts of different funky things, like manual reloading if they've got enough skill to do that. But most games don't have this VR plugins enabled. Most of them aren't included. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to get the injector to work so that you can actually use the blueprints, so that other modders can then add to the mod, so that if they like a game a lot, then they can then mod like proper full 6-DoF motion controls into games if they want to, and whatever fix things. Like Ace Combat 7 works with it, but it's got a load of broken stuff, so then that's going to need someone specifically to go into that game and fix a load of stuff to get that game to work properly. So there are some games that don't work 100%, like they've got broken things. So then that's going to require other people to then fix them. But the potential there is for games to get proper full VR support, because other modders can then come in, and I think even Praydog has said he's going to try and make a few examples. So he's going to do like 2 or 3 games where he adds motion controls to those. So there'll be some shooters that have got motion controls as well, which he does himself personally. So
I wonder if any native VR developers are pissed off about this, because it might take money away from them.
There has been a weird response to some of the developers of the game, like because with some of the testers have like put videos on YouTube showing them testing all these different games, and some of the developers have actually commented on the videos and said like, wow, it's amazing, because it's going to enable developers to literally quickly jump into VR in their game without having to do any work. Like they're not going to have to set all the plugins up and try and figure out how to do all this stuff. They can literally just inject, and then they can be in their own game and see, wow, this is really cool in VR. So then they might do official ports because they see how good it is in VR. But there are people who are actually VR-only developers who've kind of said it's going to basically make it so that no one's going to be interested in buying a native VR game, because obviously why would they buy a native VR game when they can play all these other games? Yeah. But I do think that, like, as much as as great as it is, there's no substitute for a native VR game. That's like with Paradise, Paradise Hotel. That game's great. That's not as good as Resident Evil.
Yeah,
but
definitely not.
It's still a great game because it's been made for VR. It's got manual reload, and it's got, you're interacting with the environment. You're opening drawers. You're trying to manually find ammo and things. Yeah. That's what makes VR great as well. It's not just about being in the world. It's like, in an ideal world, every game would be a VR game where you can do it, like Half-Life Alyx, where you can pick everything up and do everything. But that's not reality, and a lot of people want more depth in the games, and you can get that by playing non-VR games. But at the same time, it's still great to play a well-made VR game that's been made with VR from the start.
Yeah, you and I both have beaten, Resident Evil 2, 3, 7, and 8 in VR. Yeah. And we've had full 6-DoF and motion controls, but we still wanted to play. Yeah, this is a good point. We still wanted to play Propagation.
Yeah, because it's a good VR. As long as these developers make good quality VR games, then people are still going to want to play them. I mean, it's only going to affect PC as well, which generally PC VR players don't buy a lot of games, unfortunately. So as a VR developer, you might find they might stop making games for PC VR. They might not see the point. But they've still obviously got Quest, and they've still got PSVR 2 to develop for, which obviously not going to have access to this mod because the Quest ain't going to run it, and PSVR 2 is a locked out system. You can't run stuff like this on it. So there's still going to be a market for VR developers. It might affect the PC VR market negatively, but then it's also going to open up the PC VR market to play so many different games. So, I don't personally see a negative to it, but there are some people that have definitely said, I've even heard about content creators complaining, saying that it's there's going to be too many games because they rely on obviously the next big thing. They want to make a video on the next big thing that's just come out. Well, what if there's literally hundreds of games out there? Then there's not going to be any build up. They're just going to have to like randomly pick a game to make a video about. But
They're going to have to do videos like I do.
Yeah, I mean, just surely that opens up more, because then you can pick games that not everyone's making videos about. You can find a unique game that no one else is making a video about, and make something that unique rather than making the same video every other developer makes at the same time. Every content creator makes a video. So
Yeah.
like I say, I don't see any negatives to it, but there are some people that are kind of pushing back against it a little bit. There's someone, do you know Clouded Games? Denny from Clouded Games.
Mm-hmm.
He made Pistol Whip, and he runs that team, I think. But he's been very vocal about it. He said that basically it's going to be poison to the VR industry because people are going to try it as a first time experience, and then they're going to get sick, and then they're not going to want to play VR anymore.
Nobody's going to try that as a first time experience. You have
exactly.
You're going to have to know what you're
It's
doing.
It's not something that someone's going to buy VR and then immediately. I mean, maybe they will for one particular game, like if there's a game they really want to play. Yeah. But then you've got to ask, would they ever buy a VR headset if that game wasn't playable in VR with the injector? So I think it'll get more people into VR, not alienate people from VR. So
yeah, I can't see somebody who isn't already into VR just like being like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a VR headset and a PC and I'm gonna try the injector. Like maybe if they don't understand what PC gaming really is, they're in for a lot of confusion, I think.
I think if you've got maybe some people who already, if they've already got a gaming PC and everything, and maybe they might do it. But like I say, to me, that's just positive because it's getting more people into VR. I mean, if you go out and buy a VR headset to play this one game with the injector, the chances are you're then going to look at, well, what else have I got to play with this, few $100 thing I've just bought, and then they might, they'll probably play Half-Life Alyx and they'll play, other native VR games as well. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's great. I think it's gonna. Me and you have both said this, but without VR mods, we would barely have touched our headsets. I mean, last year especially was terrible. Was virtually nothing came out. This year's actually been pretty decent. We've actually got quite a lot we've played already, and there's more coming this next month. So maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah, last year they gave Upload VR gave What the Bat Game of the Year. So yeah, that's how last year was.
Yeah, it was bleak. I mean, we've had PSVR 2 this year. We've had already quite a few good games come out this year, like Vertigo 2 and Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 and a Medieval VR. And, we've already had quite a few good PC VR releases. And obviously PSVR 2 has got quite a lot of stuff with Gran Turismo 7 and, Resident Evil and Horizon Zero Dawn and all that sort of stuff. So this year has been way better than last year.
You were trying to do a segue. But
I was trying to segue into what was upcoming, but
I screwed that up.
That's all right.
One thing I wanted to say, Breachers came out recently, and neither of us played it, right?
It's not my thing.
Yeah, not my thing either.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like me talk. It's like someone who really doesn't like driving games, trying to talk about a driving game. It's like
because it's like a team tactical thing. Is that what you don't like? The team stuff?
It's going to be a try-hard game, It's going to be full of people who would just play that. It's like Rainbow Six Siege, so it's. I like the concept of it. Maybe if we could get like enough people to fill like our own lobbies, so it was just us.
Yeah, I don't know how many you need.
I think it's 4 each side, so you need 8.
And I think it's $30, and I kind of.
Oh yeah, that's too much for me. It's too much. I'm not going to play that.
Did you play more Saints and Sinners Chapter 2?
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
You've already lost interest?
Yeah. It's too much. It's just the same game, and I'm just.
You sounded kind of positive last we talked about it, I thought.
I like. That's the thing. That's the weird thing. When I played it, I enjoyed it, but then actually, like when I'm looking at my game list, I'm like, what shall I play? I'm like, oh, do I want to play
Maybe I shit
that?
on it too much, and that made you not want to play it.
No, I mean I know full well that once I feel like I've got past the new stuff. I feel like from now on it's going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's another reason. I will play more of it, but
I still haven't. But
you've finished it, have you?
No, I haven't. I'm still. I was last time we talked. I was at 8 hours, and I still haven't touched it. I need to.
It's not a sequel. It's not diverse enough. It's not interesting enough over the first game.
Yeah.
If I'm already tired. I was already tired of the first game when I finished playing the first game. So, like you giving me just more of the same isn't gonna get me excited.
Yeah.
And I am kind of fed up with zombies, but then again, I've played Paradise Hotel and that's interesting. So, I think it is just the structure of the game. I like Paradise Hotel because it's like telling this story and you're going down these. It's not. I won't say it's linear, but like you're in like obviously a big hotel, but like there's locked doors and you've got to find the keys and stuff. And whereas Saints and Sinners and Saints and Sinners 2 is just go into area, get stuff, get out. There's no major set pieces or it's just I just find the loop itself bores me a little bit.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not just the zombies, it's the because I really like the combat and everything in it, but it is the same thing over and over again. So
Yeah, and the zombies aren't scary at all, and you just keep hearing that sound, or whatever the sound is that a zombie saw you, and it's like, all right, let me just grab your head.
Oh yeah,
stab.
Yeah.
Oh, another one saw me. All right, grab your head, stab. The zombies are just they're so non-threatening. Unless you have you'd have to have like 20 of them on you.
Yeah, when there's a few, it can get a little bit stressful, but maybe that's they're trying to go for that same because that's what the TV show and everything's like, innit? It's like one's fine, but it's when you get like a bunch of them when it starts to get difficult.
Yeah.
But I am tired of that kind of zombie gameplay loop. I'm looking forward to the next game they make, Behemoth, because obviously it's not going to be zombies, and they're going to use that same kind of melee system. So, because there's a katana that I got, I don't know if you found it in one of the backpacks, and I really enjoyed using that, like going around chopping their arms off and chopping their heads off and stuff. So
I got it, and I think I didn't like it.
Did you not?
I
really liked it.
It wasn't connecting for me as well.
I liked it. I was chopping the heads off, and I was like, when you stick them in the head, it doesn't stick like the axe and stuff. So you could like whip it in and out of the head fast, and take them out. Yeah, so I'm hoping that they take that like with the sword play or something in this Behemoth game, and where you're stabbing and swinging and getting into these really cool fights, and then you've got the big giant boss fights and stuff. It could be really cool if they can pull it off.
Yeah. All right, I'll do the upcoming now.
Okay.
Finally, another Fisherman's Tale that comes out May 11th, so that's really soon. You were playing A Fisherman's Tale. Did you finish that? I
got stuck, even though I finished it before. I don't know how I've managed that, and then I've not been back to it.
Oh, you beat it a long time ago, and then you played it again. Okay.
Oh yeah, I've played through it before, and then for some reason I've got stuck, and I can't even figure out what to do, even though I've finished the game, and it's a puzzle game, which figure that out. But yeah, I like the first game though, and I'm looking forward to everything I've seen with this new one. Looks really good, and with the way like you take your head. I don't know if you saw that developer footage, but you literally take your own head off and stuff. So you can take your head off, and then you can control your body independently to your head, and then you can like your arms like extract out of your body, and then you can like pull them in and
it's like your Inspector Gadget or something.
Yeah, I think you can like take your hand off and then like move you. It's like it looks really inventive, and I think it's going to be longer this time as well. I think they said it's going to be like 6 to 8 hours or something. So.
All right, Humanity comes out May 16th.
But is that PSVR 2
that's
only?
Not Steam also.
Yeah, but is it going to have VR support on Steam?
I think that's what it said when I looked it up. I don't know if you have a keyboard handy, but yeah, I think it's VR supported.
I could have a look. If it is, then that's cool, because I thought it was a PSVR 2 exclusive. I'll look it up while you're listening.
All right, then Firmament comes out May 18th. And, that'll be an immediate buy for me.
Yeah, I was surprised. Did you ever play Abduction?
Yeah, I did, but I didn't get very far. I don't remember if it was performance at the time. It was a long time ago.
That game was really, really hard. Like, I struggled with that game. So when Myst came out, I was kind of like, I just figured we were going to be the same, like really, really difficult. And it is a challenging puzzle game. But what I liked about Myst was that the puzzles weren't like spread out. With Abduction, the puzzles, you've got like all these different worlds like you have in Myst, but you might have to go to one place and then come back to another world to solve a puzzle in another place, and it's like it gets so complicated that I just couldn't figure out where I was even supposed to be, like what I was even looking for. Whereas with Myst, you go into a world and you've got to fit everything's in that world, and it's all there, and you can figure it out. So I figured most of it out myself. I think I had to look a couple of little things up, but I really enjoyed Myst, and it's visually it's really impressive, and Firmament looks really really impressive
Yeah, I
visually.
remember now what my issue was with Abduction. I remember I was staring at like a wall of like a rock wall, and when I turned my head, it stayed with my view. This was on a Vive back back
Oh,
then.
I
It
think they did
stayed.
patch it a lot
Yeah,
because it
maybe
was
it's fixed,
broken
and
and stuff. Yeah,
that's why I was like, oh, this game's fucked up, and I'm sure it's better now.
you should give it a go, but I just found it way too hard for me. I was literally having to use guides all the time just to get through the game, and it was like, well, at that point, it's like, why am I doing it? So
Did it make sense, or was it like, oh, I never would have figured that
no,
out?
there was stuff like I was like, no,
Hmm.
I would never have got it. I never would have figured it out no matter how long I spent, because, like I say, it's like these like with Myst, the area wasn't massive, but in
Hmm.
Abduction, you've imagine the same thing, but you've got these massive areas, and then you've got these worlds, and you've got to like somehow teleport into. You can teleport to the different parts of the world from different parts of the other world, and
Hmm.
it was so complex,
Hmm.
and like the puzzle could be one. To solve one puzzle, you might need to be the complete other side of the world or in a different world,
Yeah.
and it's so big and vast that you would have to literally walk around inspecting every single thing. And even then, when I found out the puzzles, the solutions, I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to know that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How was I supposed to figure out that's what I needed to do? It was just really, it wasn't as good as Myst. I thought Myst was way better.
Outer Wilds is one of my favorite games of all time. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, to beat that game, what you have to do is something, I never would have tried or thought that was something I needed to do. Unfortunately, I had to
yeah.
look that up.
But that
Yeah.
wasn't that is a hard game as well. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
you might like it. Give it a go. But
All right.
it wasn't for me.
Hello Neighbor VR Search and Rescue comes out May 25th on PSVR 2, but it also has a Steam page that says coming soon.
Right. I
So
think
I
it's a
don't
timed
know if it's going to
exclusive.
be is it timed? Yeah,
I think so.
probably.
Yeah, I think they have said that it's coming to Steam as well.
Yeah. All right. So then sometimes I look at upcoming VR games on Steam, and I saw a game called Rotten Apple comes out May 25th. I think it's a 3-player, maybe co-op zombie, another one of these zombie shooter things, but it's a
Oh,
story. There's a story campaign. I
right.
don't know if it'll be good. The graphics look pretty good, but I don't
I'll
know.
look this up. That Humanity it does say VR Smart actually
Okay.
on Steam, so it is going to be Steam and PC. What do you think about the Humanity? Do you know much
I'm
about that?
not. I never was into that type of game much, so I'm not too interested.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same. I'll give it a go, but it's not like I'm not jumping in and out of my way to play it.
Hmm. And then Adventure Fitness VR World Obstacle Tour says May. I'm listing this. I know most people wouldn't be interested in this because I played the demo and I kind of liked it. And I think you can still play the demo. Uh, it, the graphics are pretty good, and I don't know why, but I like obstacle courses. I always have,
Right.
and this one's a pretty well done one. Then We Are One comes out June 1st. This is a game like The Last Clockwinder, except you have guns, and there are enemies that you have to shoot, and they shoot at you, and you can physically dodge their fire. But like you will have multiple clones, and you can rewind time, and like you'll throw a gun in the air, and then have to use a clone to catch the gun on the other side, and
Right.
I played the demo and I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And do you know of anything else coming out soon?
No, I think that's quite a good month, really. I mean, I think obviously Paradise Hotel came out the 4th, so that's already came out in May. Another Fisherman's Tale, I think will be good. I think Humanity will be good if you like that sort of game, and then Firmament, I think that's going to be great. And then Hello Neighbor VR Search and Rescue. So I think we've got this month's quite a packed month. I think
You know
for
what else is coming out pretty soon this
what
month?
what.
Breath of the Wild Part 2.
Oh, You like that game?
Yeah, I like Zelda games, so I'm gonna have to play that.
A Switch game.
Yeah, that's a Switch game. So yeah, that'll take a bite out of my VR time.
That's fine. You can be a traitor.
I don't usually. Oh,
no,
but I did,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I did play some Mario Kart because they keep releasing new tracks for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on Switch. So yeah, I did that.
Do you play just solo or do you play with people?
Yeah, I just played solo.
All right.
I thought about going online and playing against other people.
You're probably just gonna get wasted because unless you spend loads and loads of time on it, then people are gonna know the tracks so well and every little shortcut, and you're gonna struggle.
All right, so if you made it this far, you could get this Propagation Paradise Hotel Steam key. It is XLZWHCKF3AEB. So yeah, you made it this far. Thanks for listening. And
thanks.
Anything else?
Nope. That was fun. Thank you for listening, you bunch of dickheads.